Test, test, test. Hey, y'all can hear me, right? What's good? It's Pastor Zen in the building. I'm here to explain some bars to y'all. The song is called Alpha Beta, and I go from A to Z and then back to A again. So, yeah. By the way, make sure you're drinking water. Let's get right into it. Ante up. The algorithm's absolutely average. I bandage the bitter boys until Benny becomes a cabbage. Can I live? Can I live? The question for all eternity. So, first bar is kind of self-explanatory. Second one, I bandage the bitter boys like you beat them up, and then they all bandaged up until Benny becomes a cabbage. Like when you catatonic in the hospital, that means you a vegetable, right? It kind of has two meanings. So Benny, who's the most famous Benny you know? Benjamin Franklin, exactly. And so what's another name for money? Lettuce. But that doesn't start with C, so I went with cabbage. Carbon copies can come up before the carnage. I dilly-dally the dummies to double up for the damage. So yeah, when you're doing well, when you're doing your thing, there's a lot of times fakers are gonna come into your space and try to mimic you, try to pretend to be you. That's when you gotta stand 10 toes down and really root yourself in your identity. So all them carbon copies can go to hell. Sometimes you entertain them because it's entertaining. To dilly-dally means to like go with the flow. So yeah. It's easy to me. Easels to eat up before the fire, feeling flyer, feed the fakes with the govy before the geyser. Geez Louise. I like this one. Easels to eat up before the fire is like, so I recently did a dissertation for a master's degree, and what I wrote about was frameworks, like frames of reference, especially when it regards literature. Like the way you see words is the way you see the world. And vice versa. It's like this feedback loop of understanding. And it's actually called a hermeneutic circle. And so one of the things that I thought of was easel is like a frame for a piece of art. So the framework that we currently see with in this modernist, postmodernist, weird reality is garbage. We got to throw that in the trash. Better yet, throw it in the fire. As a Nigerian, I have a lot of names. So the way that you know me tells me how I know you. I'm not going to get too far into that one because I don't want to mess up how people address me just because they saw this video. Get a hammer, read some Homer, then I heat the ham. Incremental increase, insidious how I spread the jam. All you need is a weapon, some food, and a good book. You straight, man. I'm spreading my jam. Kind of like literally spreading jam, but also like, you know, spreading the bops. Jamming, rather jarring, just to keep a kid from sparring. Man, it's crazy the lengths folks will go to keep you. But fortunately, God didn't make me that way, so I'm going to talk regardless. Kindle up. The length is long. I leave a lesson, less it's wrong, than meet the mess I made. You know Kindles, like you got to read. So a lot of y'all don't read books in the shows. Like we need to bring thought back into the fray. Then meet the mess I made because I'm still human, so I make mistakes sometimes. Maybe if I make the might of modern man... I know what y'all think about it. It's like, damn, those folks over there seem to get all the toys, all the power-ups, all the honeys, all the everything. It's like, maybe. It's like, they always say, if you can't beat them, join them. But we can't do that. You know I can't do that. But I still think about it. Necessarily nebulous, never can let them understand. I think that one's self-explanatory. Open me on the Oculus, over before the Optimus, pause. I don't know, people take words all type of ways. So open me on the Oculus could be whatever. But really I'm talking about like Oculus, right? Open me on the Oculus as in we're entering this weird digital future where everything is gonna be like apps and widgets and clicks. So go ahead and tune in to Pastor Zen. Hopefully the fight ends before, you know, we get to Transformers or I don't know. What's that one? The other sci-fi dystopian film, Terminator. Yeah, that's the one, but that didn't really fit. So I pre the pardon, Portillo's inside the garden. If you're from Chicago, you know Portillo's. And the garden is one of those images that is super metaphoric, especially in the Bible. And so that one you can kind of take in a bunch of directions. I'm not going to get too far into it, but you could talk about Garden of Gethsemane. You know, whether it's like Christ is about to die, bleeding blood, like, yo, God, if you could take this cup, or it could be Garden of Eden, like, We in paradise, Lord. This is amazing. Either way, you're gonna find me eating. Pen pretty like the Quran or Quasimodo off the Quaaludes. So I like pictorial languages. Like I'm learning kanji right now, which is the Japanese written language. What's that Egyptian one? It's hieroglyphics and like all those types of like languages where like a letter can be a whole story. The Quran is written in a sort of script that mimics pictorial languages, and so my pen is also pretty in that way. And then Quasimodo off the Quaaludes is kind of like, that was a stretch, but it's cute. You gotta, I mean, if you want, it's like Quasimodo looks kind of weird, and off the drugs, a 4 can become a 9. So it's like, still pretty. Realistically righteous or ready to rock and slay you. Simply into salvation, but silly to simper up. Sin for what? Tiny temper, temptations to treat a blunt. So my vice is weed. I will freely admit that. It's something that I struggle with. But I've been clean for about like 7 or 8 months now. So actually, let me not lie. It's been like 1 month. But before that, it was like 7 months. Yeah. So it's something that I used for anger management, stress relief, tiny temper. By the way, where is Tiny Temper? Tiny, if you watching this, bro, let's link. Let's make a song. My name is Pastor Zen, and I rap good. Umbilical umbrage, I up the score, then uppercut. That actually was originally unbiblical umbrage because you're not supposed to uppercut people. You're supposed to turn the other cheek. But sometimes I like to not do that. Sorry, God. But I changed it to umbilical, as in like umbilical cord, because you connect it to the source and it makes sense with the next bar. So umbilical umbrage, I up the score, then uppercut until vein within Vicodin, vision blurred or vision stuck. And so, whatever's in your bloodstream sometimes affects the way you see. So how are you seeing today? Hopefully your blood is pure. Water winning, I wet Willie the Wizards in the West. You already know what time it is. Hydrate. I love water, man. Both like the literal, obviously, but also like Christ calls himself the living water. And I take that to heart. So water is winning, regardless, however you want to look at it. Drink more water. And Wet Willie the Wizards in the West is like, everybody's seen Wizard of Oz. I don't even need to explain that one. Like the West right now looking a lot like Babylon. So we gotta get them folks out of here. Explaining the xenophobia in Xanadu with X. Xanadu is like an idyllic place, and xenophobia is like a form of racism. So it's almost like, why would you juxtapose those two things? But that's the whole point of art, right? Like putting things that seemingly conflict and making it work. Talking about it with one of the greatest artists to ever live, R.I.P. Triple X. Yeah, I just thought that would be a cool picture, and they all started with X, so it made it work. Yearning for the year that yammering finally yields the yen. Yes, I'm Yeezus till the zenith of zealotry leads to Zen. I think that makes sense, right? Like I'm yearning for the year that all this talking finally leads to. And then I like the word zenith, so I had to put that in there. Zenith is like the tip or the pause. And so the zenith of zealotry is like the height of my passion. Yearning for the year that the height of my passion finally leads to some calm, some peace, some Zen. That's it. I'm not going back from Z to A. This video is already way too long, and y'all don't even got that type of, Listen to my album called Recalibrate, February 28th. Yeah, go peep that. Just a clue for the Z back to A. So when you're listening, you're like, what the heck are you talking about? Quetzalcoatl for the Q's. Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl. It's like an old Aztec story. Go read that. And then when you listen back, everything will make sense. So yeah, that's all I'm giving you for that part of it. You'll notice some other, things I put in there too. A lot of my raps to start off is like prompts to myself, like a challenge. Like, I bet you can't do this. And I'm like, what? Yes, I can. Okay, then do it. All right, bet. And then I do it. So yeah, it's been real. My name is Pastor Zen. And thank you for watching. If you made it all the way to the end, you a real one. Mwah. Love you. Take it easy. Peace. Oof. We out.